All right, here. Welcome to the video. I have not posted a video in probably about a month, and we have someone in today's video. We have my wife, and um, you may have seen her if you have watched my older videos. She was very much a part of my life 10 plus months ago, to where we were dating, and we have dated since 2022, and we dated by kind of what the world standards are for dating, and which can be very confusing for people. And I want to not so much really talk about that today, because I think that you can look in the world and you can see lots of failed relationships, failed marriages, divorce rates very high, and those types of things. And so, like, I don't really want to focus on so much about the problem today, because we all know what the problem is. And instead of just focusing on the problem, I want to talk about what the solution to that is, what I believe the solution to that is, what we believe the solution to that is, and take from this what you will. But like I said, in the past, we met in 2022, and we did things a majority of the time the world's way, but we also do believe in the solution, and the solution is God. And the way we did things previously is that we did believe in God. We both practiced faith in some regard, and we even went, and practiced faith together as well. However, we didn't practice it necessarily as the center of our relationship. It was more of just an addition, or something that we had, like a side dish of. It wasn't the focal point of our relationship. And with no root, or with nothing, no foundation of a relationship, it's basically built on sand. And what you see in the world, divorce, breakups, lust, cheating, guilt, shame, all those bad things that are terrible things that I wouldn't ever wish upon anybody to have to experience, are bound to show up. And or even just fears, general fears, not even like lust or shame or guilt, like those, those might even be deeper than, like, deeper roots than just fears. But everything will stem from fear, and the only combat to that is love. And where love comes from is love comes from God, joy comes from God, peace comes from God. So if that's not the center of your relationship, then you're just going to get supplemental amounts of love, peace, and joy. But you never know when you can never have enough love, peace, and joy. And we could always use more. So we have not talked or communicated for the last 10 months. We broke up because in my heart, I didn't necessarily know how to sort these things out at the time, but I had a lot of fear, and I've done a lot of reflecting over the last 10 months to be able to realize my part in the fears that I was carrying, and the fears that I was dealing with. And they were fears that I never brought to her, because the world will also tell you that you can't be fearful as a man, you can't ever be emotional as a man, you can't ever be vulnerable as a man. Like, you got to man up and quit being a bitch and handle your shit. Which that's one of the strengths of men, is that they are able to do that. But you also need there is strength in vulnerability, and being able to say, like, hey, like, I am nothing without God, or I don't have the means of handling this. Like, I need to just rely on faith. It would be cool to say, like, hey, I don't even need God, but it wouldn't be, because the coolest thing about God is that, like, you can rely on Him, and there is no big, too big of a fear, too small of a fear, too little of a fear for God to handle. Everything can be turned over to God. But 10 months ago, I had a lot of fears, and they accumulated, and I didn't even know which one was which. So what I started to do is I started to act out, and they started to manifest, not necessarily because I was ignoring them, so they would manifest as other things. I would start to, like, look at the things about Diana that we had differences on, I would start to look at the things, the potential negatives of our relationship. I would start to like compare things and start to like look, is the grass greener on the other side? I would start to, instead of, watering where the grass was, that's where I was at that point, and I believe that God had his reasoning for that, because we split up November 2024. And over the last 10 months, Diana has moved away. I live in Florida. She lives... I guess we won't really say where you live. We won't say. She lives elsewhere. She doesn't live in Florida. But I'll share my side, and then she can share some of her side, so I don't hog the whole video. All right. So over the last 10 months, I had a lot of reflecting to do, and I did continuously have Diana on my heart in some way. She hasn't left my heart, and and time could take care of that, and time eventually maybe I would have moved on and eventually found someone and this or that, but I believe that God put me in a position of put me in a season of, he wanted me to be alone so he can get to know me. I can get to know him better, and I believe he has really done that, because as these last 10 months have been apart from each other, I have grown closer to God, and I have felt his presence more, and I have come to understand God more. And I originally felt like God was kind of, punishing me. I would almost get mad at God sometimes, being like, why did I leave a girl that was so good to me? And what was the point of all this? Like, what the fuck? And
that was not God, baby.
Yeah, well, so I don't believe that God necessarily broke us apart. What I believe broke us apart was my fears, and what that God was able to take that and show me that he is the one that his love is the only solution to those fears. His presence, his peace is the only thing that can calm anxiety, that can calm worry, that can bring me to a present place, to be able to bring me rest, and to know things are going to be okay, and be able to say that confidently, and be able to walk in faith. But like I said, the relationship that we had before in 2022 to 2024, it was not built on faith. It wasn't something that I walked in with faith. It was something that I supplemented in as needed, and it can't work that way. So I'll let Diana share a little bit about her last 10 months, and then we can talk a little bit more about what the next 10 months we hope to look like. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so go ahead. Tell them since November of 2024.
Okay.
And you can do it as much as or a little as you want to let them know.
Mm-hmm. So when me and Matthew broke up, I decided to move away because I thought that was the best way for me to get rid of him. Just kidding. Mm-hmm. To move on from the relationship, because I've known him for such a long time, and I think me being in the same state as him wouldn't be easy, because I would think about like running into him, or like just knowing that he's there. It would be hard. And because when we broke up, we did not break up because we didn't love each other anymore, I still had that. So then I decided to move out of state, but I told him that I moved out of the country.
I believe that the entire time. I believe that up until about maybe a month ago.
When he started stalking me.
Yeah, I mean, you were so far away. Like, I probably would have I may have messaged her
Because
earlier.
that's the point of it. Like, I told you I was that far, so you couldn't reach.
Yeah, because
me
there was
anymore.
times that I was just like, you know what, like, it would be nice to have your company right now.
Whatever.
But not. But maybe more so like fleshly desires versus just like, like what I actually desire. Like,
I did not want any of that because I wanted to breathe and live my life without you. After the breakup, and that breakup was tough.
Well, you wanted to live your life with God, right?
Yeah, and when we broke up, that was kind of like the main thing that, as I'm remembering, like, you told me that God, like, wasn't there, and it hurt me because I thought that God was there with us, because that was a big part of who I am. Like, I love God. And so when I moved away, I decided to
go all in with God.
Yeah, like I blocked you and everything.
She blocked me, and she blocked a bunch of other guys that wanted to talk to her on her phone, which a lot of girls probably, when they break up, and the guys do this too, and it's like, let's go see the next person, let's go move on that way.
I did the opposite. I blocked him. I blocked all of the men that I've ever met in my life. I blocked even some of the just, friends that, wanted to hang out sometimes. And because, it was tough for me. Like, I loved one person, and I wanted to be able to, like, someday, maybe if God, because I believed deep inside of me that I'm a good person, and I'm a child of God, and that someday, if it wasn't him, that someday God would give me someone that would really love me the way I deserve to be loved, so that then I don't need to go, looking for one or like using all these distractions to just be okay and to move on easily. I sat with that. I decided to be, alone, and sat with my pain and really asked God to heal me. I went to church regularly, which I've been doing, but this time, I wanted to really create that intimate relationship with God where, I lost someone, and it's like I don't want anyone. Like, I just wanted God, because I know that God is the only person who can really heal me and take me out of that pain. So I draw closer to God. Like, I started going to, like, church group. So I started going to church group. I was seeking all these, godly people, like community, so that I could lean more into what God wants for my life. So I went to church groups. I started going to Bible studies. Like, I think I went to, like, Bible studies 3 times a week on top of my Sunday church. I just knew I needed God so much. And it did help. Because, I started feeling lighter, and God would speak to me, like, through people and through, like, life daily. Even, like, when I'm in pain. Because I'm also, like, grieving my mom's death, which, I know Matthew also was, because our moms died on the same exact day. But, like, that was, a big thing too. Like, I was grieving the loss of that relationship and my mom, so it was just too much. So
you weren't in a place to really want to date people, right?
Yeah, I was.
Because you were healing. And I'm not going to say that these are the exact same things that I did over this time period. I and Diana, has gone to church, and she's gone to her groups, and it's important to have some type of community and support in your faith, because like nobody is a lone wolf in terms of their faith. Like this is, you're meant to do this with people, and you know, you need people in your life to do this with. It's there's a majority of the world lives for the world, and they're satisfied just with that. And you know what? I'm not going to tell or say that those people are wrong, because God has his own plans and path for them. But what I will say is I also do connect with people seeking God on a regular basis, because I go to AA and I'm sober, and I've been sober for 3.5 years. And you know, it's people that are seeking God, and they're seeking a spiritual solution. And you know, and the way that AA works is that you choose a higher power of your own understanding. And I think that's what most people's relationship needs to be. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do, but I think that's what most people's relationship needs to be with God, is that as you understand him more, then you try to become, he will make you more like him as you have faith in his path and his plan for you. And so that's what Diana had been doing over the last 10 months, is trying to find what God's path was for her.
And yeah, it wasn't easy most days, because you know, it's not visible. You don't
visible.
see it, but
You have faith.
You just have to, have faith and truly like trust God, like fully like surrender to him, which I did. And it really helped a lot. Like, I did miss Matthew a lot of times, and like, even like not wanting to hang out with anyone, sometimes you just like that solitude, it's essential, but sometimes you just want someone to like
someone's company,
who really knows you, and you can tell like anything too. But that could be God. That's what I told myself. That's what I told myself, at least, like when I feel lonely, like I would remind myself that I'm not alone. Like, I'm not alone in this. God is with me. So, like that kind of really like strengthened me and kept me going. And, like it was a really, really great, I don't know, it just changed the healing journey for me, because it's I wouldn't say I fully healed, but I was okay because I surrendered to God.
To the process of his healing.
Yeah, so even though, like, I still missed what I had with Matthew, I was okay with, the potential of losing that forever. And I had that in my mind because, it was a long time, like, it's 10 months. And I was like, yeah.
It's the longest we haven't ever talked for.
Yeah, I was over. But I had a peace knowing that, whatever God's plan is for my life, that I have to surrender that and be okay with it. Because, he's God. Like, I'm just a human. He knows better than I do. So I'm just a girl. So, yeah, I think that's... So when Matthew messaged me, it kind of like brought up so much emotions. Like, I'm just a girl, as I said. And even though I was already like, okay, it's funny because that morning I was just telling a friend that, like seeing her, because the last time I saw her was the day me and Matthew broke up. And then seeing her this time, it kind of like reminded me how far I've come, and just, like really opened my heart and my mind to that thought that, yay, like I'm good. I'm not hurting as much anymore. And so I was telling her, I'm fine. Then that same day, afternoon, this guy, he messaged me. It's like, it's like he could hear me.
Well, now let me talk about what I did over the last 10 months, okay? And Diana does have really good friends, and she has a handful or a couple that she can be very vulnerable to and honest, and she doesn't hold anything back. And that's one of the beautiful things about her, is that she sometimes can be very quiet and very reserved, but if she feels safe and comfortable, like, she will open up and she will share exactly how she's feeling. And you know even though sometimes she's quiet, she's not quiet because she's doesn't have anything to say. She's just forming her thoughts in her head and feeling things and processing things that are, she's taking these things to God. And so yeah, so over the last 10 months, like, my process did not look as you know responsible, I guess you can say, as Diana's. I had this I've been going to AA, and I've been in the program for the last 3.5 years, and I've had times in the program to where I'm really working the program humbly, and opening my heart and being honest, open-minded, and willing to receiving, a greater understanding of God, and to seeking God in a better way, and to turning things over to God. But I've also had times in the program where I'm maybe not, like, working it as hard, and that's when, like, the fears and things like that creep in, or the comparison, or, all these things, and fears, whatever. But I've also had times in the program where, like, I'm doing all the right things. I'm checking all the boxes on the outside, and, all the, I'm doing all the external stuff, but I'm not open-hearted, or I'm not humbly going and seeking this program, or really being open-hearted to it. And what's changed for me, well, what happens for me is, like, being having addiction, and having that is kind of a whole other thing. But the way that works is, like, if I don't have God in my life, I have a dis-ease. Now, like, you can say disease, and people think, like, disease is all like cancer, like, that's what we think about disease. But I want you to think of the word dis-ease in terms of this case, because a lot of people have this type of dis-ease, which is not the word necessarily dis-ease, but dis-ease. It is an ease and an uncomfortability in one's own skin, to where the only solution to actually feeling comfortable in one's own skin is God. And what I will do, and what a lot of the world does, I believe, in to an extent, is we will try to remedy this dis-ease with things of this world, whether we shop and spend money, whether we eat food, whether we work out. I mean, you can see the amount of muscle I have is clearly out of dis-ease. No, but it can be, I can lean into the gym too much, or I could work, at my job too much, or I can try really hard, and I can, you need to be making, 6 figures and this and that. And, like, those things will come, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what's wrong with it is when I'm doing this to try to remedy something that only God can fill. And like I said, my process of these last 10 months has been different from Diana's. And for a period, I did try to remedy it with things of the world, and I felt empty, and it was futile. It was like, there was no life in it. It was all the things that, like, that the world had, but, like, there was no, it was like an empty shell. A lot of things that, I pursued, there was no, yeah, there might be some instant relief of, of getting something worldly, but then, you're left kind of feeling exactly how you felt before, and you may even feel worse because you may feel now shameful, or you may feel more fearful, or you may feel more guilty, or you made me feel more tired. And I had came to find out that it was not that way was not working, and that's something that I'll continue to. It's not something that you just learn once and you're like, all right, well, God's the answer all the time now. I think we're all subject to believe that things of the world are going to be the solution to our problems, but they never are. They're just temporary, quick fixes that that can leave us even in a worse off position. And so fast forward, I decided that I would put both feet into my program and to go to my AA program humbly, and to go with an open heart, and go with the goal of trying to help others, and the goal of being grateful for what I do have, and grateful for all the experiences that I have had. And so I started, raising my hand for being available to sponsor other people, which is basically helping another addict or alcoholic to find God themselves. And I noticed that when I did those types of things, or when I was more involved in my program, like that I actually got this relief, that I got this love, peace, and joy that was not just, something that was instant gratification and left me feeling empty. It was something that carried me, and it was something that carried me not just for the day or like that quick fix moment. Like, it would carry me for a day or more, and then it was something that I realized that I have to go resupply this. Like, this is not something that I just get it and keep it and I'm good. Like, this is something I will do for the rest of my life. And part of me is perfectly okay with that, because if I just got this, or I could just take a pill and everything was good, there would be no reason to seek any more. There would be no reason to seek any more God. And if there was a pill that I could just do that, I would take 2 of them, or I would take 4 of them, because I want it more. That's my nature. And I'm not of the nature of, I have an appetite. I have a good appetite for food and for God. And I don't want to just get the status quo from God and be good. I want to live a life that is blessed, and that is fruitful, and that is radiant, and that blesses others, because really all my needs are already met. And I would like to not just be focused on me. I want to be able to help others as well. So fast forward as to the time that I messaged her, I had come to now understand these things, that the only thing that could really give me this love, peace, and joy was
me.
Well, no, was not her, was
just kidding.
Was God. And that I would realize that we had done our relationship apart from God forever. Like, that's what we were doing. That was our method of operation. We had believed in God, and we had prayed to God, and we had our own means of going to God, but we never really went to God together, because we weren't necessarily doing things God's way. We were living together, and they say oh, well, you should live together and, test out the car before you buy it, and those types of things. But statistically, those relationships often fail more versus those who get married. And I mean, I don't have all the statistics in front of me here, but where's the faith in that? You can't build a loving relationship based on the fear that it might go to shit. Love is a crazy, stupid fucking thing. It's so dumb. It's not logical. If you were to tell me, well, the chance of divorce is 50-60%, those are terrible odds. And, but those are the world's odds, and that's the world standard. And look, not everybody has to maybe practice God in the means that I or Diana does, but where I'm at in my life and where she's at that's what we are called to do. And yes, I understand that there's people that don't have much God in their relationship or anything, and they do just fine. And, what I would say to that is that God has his own plans with them, and, it's not my place to judge someone or, a couple's sanctification process. It's for me to just try to allow God to sanctify me and do with me what he will. So, fast forward, I messaged Diana. I did miss her, and she was on my heart this entire time.
And I was like, no, you don't.
No, she was, because each time, like, I would maybe pursue these, like, empty things, I would, it would be like, I would realize what I had given up. And instead of, like, it also allowed me to look at all the good things that we did have together and those things that I gave up. And there was a period of time, like, in this process over the last 10 months where I thought that I was upset with God for taking these things away from me, and I blamed God for this, but it was not that. What really did this was that my fears were so burdensome to me, and I had nowhere to give them to, because I wasn't going to give them to God. I wasn't going to share them with Diana, and the best thing that I can do is to, instead of, getting vulnerable and gaining strength through my vulnerability, was to break off this relationship before it could hurt me like a coward. And here's the thing, like, in the message that I kind of want to, like, give in this video, is that a man that's not submitted to God will fail. Like, me, at least me. Like, if I'm not submitted to God, I will fail. But if I am submitted to God, I believe I could do anything and not fail. I believe that, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? I've thought about that, and if I can guarantee that I won't fail, well, I think the only guarantor of that is the Creator, the one who's all-knowing. And what was I gonna say? The message for me that once again, guys, I'm not trying to preach to anybody or tell anybody how to do their relationship. I'm just telling you this is how we're doing our relationship. Not just our relationship, but our marriage. We are officially married. And what I will say is that for me, in order to fully be committed to this relationship and to this marriage, is that I have to be fully committed to God in all ways. I can't do this halfway in the world and test the car before I drive it, to live with Diana, cohabitant, before, we are married. Those things are reserved for marriage. And I believe that God blesses marriages, and I believe that marriages are a godly thing, that they are ordained by God, and that there's no dating, in the Bible, or
it doesn't say.
There's no dating. And I'm not trying to tell, you just met a girl off Hinge or whatever, that you bring a wedding ring to the first date, like
married.
Marriage. but the hookup culture and all that stuff, like it's not for me. It's not and I'm not, for some people, they're like more than satisfied with that, and if that's you, to each his own. Like, I'm not going to judge you. But for me, I believe that I'm called much higher than that, and God has better plans for me than just a bunch of different women and this and that. I believe that God has bigger plans or different plans for me than that, and that would be a waste, me trying to chase something that is not for me. And I've done those things in my life where I've tried to do something that I knew just wasn't truly aligned with me, and the more effort I put into it, the more it tired me out, the more it stressed me out, the more fear it brought, the more shame, guilt, whatever, like, it brought. And it wasn't, the more it actually took me away from God and made me feel like drained. And the more I lean into God, the more I give to God, the more alive I actually feel. And what I'm saying with this video and with this message is that I have to be fully submitted to God. I can't be halfway submitted to God and then, halfway submitted to my flesh or caught up in my flesh, because I like to use this kind of analogy, and I think it makes a lot of sense. The analogy is this: if I'm driving a car and I have my woman in my car with me, but my flesh is so caught up in her beauty that I don't have my eyes on the road, I might get us into an accident. There's going to be trouble. If I'm not looking at the road, there's going to be trouble. Now, the road with God is not always clear. The picture in front of me is not always clear. It's like kind of maybe sometimes a foggy road. But my faith in God just has to be the next 3 feet, and that's all I have to be focused on. So if I can be focused on God and in keeping my eyes on the road, I can protect my woman. I could get her to where she needs to go safely, because I want to bring her to heaven. I don't want to hurt her, and I want to get us to where we're supposed to go together. And I want to trust God and see God's miracles in our lives together, and to be able to share that with somebody. And the reason I'm making this video is because I'd not only like to just share this with her, I'd like to share this and be more open with the people that follow me, the people that support me, the people that want to get to know me more. And I'm not just doing this because I need to be seen. Like, I'm doing this because I want to know that you're seen too, and that, like, it's okay, like, if you've been doing things the worldly way, but all I'll say is this, is that there is a better and there is an easier way. And the last 10 months, was not something easy, and there was a lot of heartache in the last 10 months for me and for Diana both. And but I now understand it to be part of God's plan and part of who God needed me to be for her. Because, what she said, I think that most women probably would not be, she talked briefly, yes, but she's very much a rare woman, and she's a woman of God, and she is one of God's children. And she is definitely rare, and not somebody I want to live my life without. And so I did message her. And then I did come to where she is. After,
because I asked her to come.
Asked me to come. I'm not a her.
I wasn't him. Sorry. I asked him to come because when we started talking again.
Okay, so we did start talking again, and then,
But I didn't tell him where I am.
She didn't tell me where she lived. We did start talking again, and, we are attracted to each other.
Because I know already, like, I told him, you need to stay away from me.
Yeah, like us, okay, like, if we, like, the thing is, like, we've done this before. Like, we've gone back and forth in our relationship before. Mm-hmm. Like, we've had a lot of fun. Like, but, like, we've paid for that fun. With a lot of heartache.
Yeah, it was painful.
Yeah, and,
so I don't want to do that anymore. And I knew, like, during those 10 months without him, I sought God, and I found this peace, and I'm not about to lose that.
Yeah. For
someone else.
Just the flesh on earth.
So
it's gonna fade. That my muscles will shrink one day.
So then we started talking, and then one morning I was just in my head, and because we were on the phone for like nine hours.
Yeah, we talked a while. Well, we went to bed on the phone. We fell asleep on the phone.
Yeah, still, in my head, I was like, what am I doing? Like, what is this guy trying to do? So I'm like, I told myself, like, I'm not doing this. So,
She didn't want to do this the way we've done this before.
yeah, so I told him that same morning. I was just going to tell him on the phone, but then, I asked a friend, like, about my decision. And she was like, I think it's better to, tell him in person.
And what her decision was what? That you didn't want to do this apart from God?
Yeah, so I was gonna text him, but that didn't happen. So I told him, hey, I need to talk to you about something, but it has to be in person. So then he booked his flight right away.
Yeah, so then I booked a flight. So, but
then
I didn't know what she wanted to talk about, okay? But fast forward, like, a day or whatever, two later, I'm thinking about these things too. Like, I'm thinking, okay, well, like, okay, I go see her, I get out of the airport, we jump and kiss each other and this and that. Okay, and then what? Like, okay, and then maybe, like, we date and then, like, we try to see, like, where things go and, like, we just get caught up in each other and in each other's flesh and those types of things. Like, okay, it clearly points to, like, what's going to happen again is that...
It's the same thing that happened before, and I do not want to deal with that, and I'm not going to let myself deal with that.
That's insanity, okay? That's doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Now, we're not doing the same thing over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't want to do insane things over and over and over again. I don't like to repeat things in life, and I believe that in life you will repeat things until you get the idea that,
it's just not right.
Well, it ain't working. And so I started, like, looking up, like, okay, like, well, what if we were to get married? Because...
But then I didn't tell him what my plan was. I didn't tell him that the thing that I wanted to talk to him about was that I was going to tell him that, if we were to do this and if he want to be with me again... that
she'd want to be married.
Yeah.
And the reason why is not because she needs a green card in the United States because she's going to okay.
Shut up.
No, it's not that. And let me just say this: she never pressured me to marry her. Okay, she never even actually brought it up until I brought it up. Okay, so in the same respect that I said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. I knew that if we did this without God, like, we will get the same result. If we do this without faith, without love, without joy, without peace being the center of our relationship, this will fail.
Because, we both know that the love was there.
The love is there. I love hanging out with you. I love being with you.
I do too, but I love God too.
I know. I love God more than you.
I love God more than you.
No, we both love God more than each other, but...
We do, so that I wasn't gonna ruin my relationship with God
I have to love God more than you. Like, okay, as a man, like, you should love God more than you love your girl. Okay, like, you have to. Like, you have to, because you can't make her your God. She's not God. She's just a girl.
I'm just a girl.
And
so, yeah, that's what I was gonna talk to him about. I was like, if we were to do this again, and I clearly still love you, and he loves me, so like, I would, because he's talking about all these things he wants to do, like going to Philippines, Colombia, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that with someone who is not my husband.
Yeah, like, I had all these great ideas, and, like, like, I know that we would have fun, and I know that we would, like...
Yeah, but, like, fun is not the
ultimate. But we can't live on fun, Yeah.
Like,
we have to have a greater foundation than just fun, and I get it, like, dating is fun, like, like, building these experiences with a woman is fun, but I will say this, like, 10, 11 months ago, we did go to church, and we did get engaged, and... I don't know why we got engaged because, or I made a promise to her that I would ask for her dad's hand. I would ask her dad for her hand in marriage. And I'd go to the Philippines to do that. And, I made that promise to her. And, I did that because I did believe that in my heart, and anyways, so we like, okay, so she has a ring, she has an engagement ring, and we go to church one day, And we're trying to put God, like we are trying to put God at the center, but we've never allowed him to position himself at the center. We were trying to, right? But we had our own worldly ways that we were not going to give up. Like those things had to go before God, in order for God to become our center. So we lived together during this time, this, that, the other thing. We go to church, and I went up for prayers, and they were great. It made me cry. It's okay to cry as a guy. I cry a lot, but it's good because I get it all out. They're not like, I don't bawl my eyes out, but I will shed tears. Like, I think it's powerful. It's good. It's what you're supposed to. It's a release. It's like, never mind. I'm not gonna say that, but okay, and then I said, hey, baby, like, we should go, ask for prayers for us, for our relationship, for this ring, for, for this. And then, so we go up to the guy doing prayers at church. And, he asked us a few questions. I said, hey, we got engaged. Can you pray over us? And he's like, okay, well, let me ask you.
Do you guys live together?
Do you guys live together? And he said, yeah, we do. He said, okay, well, that's not, God's way. And
he did not pray for
so we couldn't pray for
our engagement.
Our engagement.
But he did pray for us individually.
He said he couldn't, he couldn't pray for that because that's haram.
Not godly. Yeah, it's haram.
Okay. And then so he didn't say that. We're Christians. But but like basically that. It's not God's freaking way. So like he can't, it's like God has his way. So okay, then what we said, all right, well, hey, like we can't live together, but we're living together and we know we're doing this the wrong way, but like but I can't go to God fully. Like I because I feel this shame that like, hey, like not that God has removed himself from me, but I removed myself from God because I know that I'm not living up to God's standard. So I'm like, I don't deserve it. God said, he does not pick and choose or withhold. We withhold ourselves from what we're able to receive from God. But if we have faith, then we should have faith in that we can do things God's way, and the promise will be provided, and he will provide. And so what we decided to do was we started to talk to people, family, friends, relatives, like,
so that I could live.
She could move out and, she could live with someone else for a period. And she even thought about moving to where she kind of lives now. But
then he was like, that's too far. So then we didn't have that option. But then, a
couple weeks or month later, like, this got to me. I had this on my conscience that we're not doing this God's way. And if I'm not doing things God's way, like, I don't want it. Like, my soul doesn't want it, like, my flesh might be like, oh, it's okay, it's this, it's that. But, like, in my soul, like, I can feel these things that, I want the provision of God. I want to go to God with all things. But it's like, this is just one thing I can't go to God with. And it's like, if I can't give my entire self to God, like, and this is what I'm supposed to do, then in order to do that, I have to break it off, and I have to go to God myself. Yeah. And I didn't do that like the way that Diana did at first. I did that very irresponsibly, but God had his way with me. And
then we're here now.
Well, but God did have a plan for us, and he, we did split off. We did break it off. We have not.
It has a It was like for a purpose that separation.
He prepared me to be the man that she needed me to be her husband.
And he did the same with me,
And she has grown in the last 10 months, in many ways, physically and in her faith and in her communication, and like we're not the same people that we were 10 months ago, and that's very exciting for us.
And I think both of our faiths are like...
Mm-hmm. It's the center of our relationship. Mm-hmm. It's the center of our marriage. And I don't know, like, if I had some kind of words of encouragement is pray.
And stand strong in your faith. Because it does work. You may not see it, you may not believe it, but I do believe that one day you're gonna really see that.
This was all working out
Yeah,
for a
like
purpose.
everything that happens in your life, it's God's plan.
And God is gracious and God is merciful. Just because you did something bad or did something wrong, think about like if you had a child, like if they like did something wrong, you would still love them. Even if they murdered somebody, you would still love them. It's a love that's beyond what you can
God is
conceive, and you are loved, and you are beloved. You're beyond loved, and you are, that love is always free to you. And we ask that you open your heart to receive that and to follow that and to only settle for that. Do not settle for anything short of that. What else do you want to say to that? What do you want to send them off with? It's kind of a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I know.
What's something simple?
Well, that's it. I think just trust God and trust in His perfect timing, because He knows what He's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You may question, a lot of things in your life, but He knows better.
Mm-hmm.
Just have faith.
And then don't do it alone. So I don't know that
And
how
don't
many...
be fooled with the worldly, stuff.
Yeah.
That's not gonna last. God is the only way.
And well, I would say don't do it alone too. Like find some people that you can talk about God with, and that you can bring these things to. And for me is actually one thing that I've done over the last 10 months is I'll go on walks and I'll just talk to God, and I'll talk to God like He's just my friend. And I've even gotten frustrated at God, and I said, God, what the hell, like, what the hell is this shit? Like, I've gotten upset, like, but He understands, okay? And there's a peace that I get when the way that God speaks to me is not necessarily like Matthew, like, you shall do this. Like, no, it's just a calm, peace, love that I feel. It's not a rushful, it's not a impulsive, it's not a reactionary type of vibe or energy. It's a love and it's a peace that transcends this world. So thank you for listening. I've got to now get to the airport, and we'll see you when we see you. Thank you for sticking around.